All right, so Erin Banks and Thomas Henson here from the Big Data Beard. And we're having our little review of our book club, which is Everybody Lies, which was done by stephens-davidowitz. So I'm hoping that I did not butcher that last name. I apologize, Seth. So, Thomas, what did you think about the book?
So the book, I thought it was going to be about something different than what it was. So I thought it was a little more, I thought it tried to be a little more controversial than it needed to be. I thought overall the premise, I liked the idea. So a huge portion of the book, especially the first part, was about Google search data. And so I thought that was a great way to talk about finding new data sets. And I like the idea of the concept of people are more honest with Google searches than they are with surveys or people or even their doctor. Yeah. So I got that point, but I didn't like kind of the controversial topics that he kind of forced it into and kind of painted people in a box. And then I also didn't like it. I mean, I appreciate the honesty, but I didn't, within I think it was in the first chapter or second chapter where he was talking about that, he had put a lot of his research that he had behind the Google search result data and kind of applied it in peer reviews, and it had kind of failed every time in front of peer review. So it's like the community's still saying, okay, there's not enough hardcore data behind just search data, right? So I think it's new, and I think that kind of painted it in a bad focus. But I try to keep an open mind. But I'm only human, right?
Right.
So I think he tried to, being honest up front there, but he's also showing that this is very, very new, very kind of emerging. I don't know how to paint this, but I do think that a lot of the results can correlate. So I'll let you kind of. Well, I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, so we use Google Trends, which is what he was talking about, and I'd actually never heard about it, so I thought that was kind of interesting. And there's actually been a couple of other tools that I've seen recently from Google, like when words started becoming popular, and people were like using them in books. It's been kind of interesting because one of my coworkers started to use a word, and I had no idea what it meant. And even if it was a word, and we looked it up, it's the kind of, because sometimes in technology people will create words or phrases.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Like data lake.
Containerization of the world.
You say containerization, I said data lake. That's so funny. So what I thought was interesting, and I'm glad that we're doing this video now, is because it started off with just kind of about the polls and about the last election between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And it was kind of interesting about what people were actually saying, and because they were saying the exit polls weren't right. But it was interesting because I recently just saw a show on TV that really talked about actually the way that they did the polling was correct. It was just a little bit different. So I thought that was kind of, I don't know what to believe anymore to become.
If his results were better than the polling results, though, and this is, I mean, like I said, I stated it saying that he failed in peer review and everything, but I did find myself agreeing a lot with him on his results.
Correct.
What do you do there?
Well, because what he was saying is what people like to say, or the image that they like to portray is not who they really are. It's not who they are at the core, because people will Google things, ask questions or whatever that are not really aligned to who they are as a person, right? They like I'll tell you who I think you want me to be, Thomas. Like I'll answer the question of like, so Thomas will continue to be my friend and not who I really am. Along those lines. So I thought that was interesting. There was another couple of the things that I highlighted was that strawberry Pop-Tarts sell 7 times faster than normal in the days leading up to a hurricane. What do you mean? Why are you like,
strawberry Pop-Tarts are great, but I mean, have you tried the chocolate ones?
No, I am a strawberry, like, that's it.
That's it?
That's
Not
my
even
jam.
Blueberry? Like, why is it just strawberry?
Well,
is strawberry the most produced one, and so that's the fastest we can get to an area?
No, I think it's just, I don't think that's it. I don't, why strawberry? No clue, he says. But when hurricanes hit, people turn to strawberry Pop-Tarts, apparently. So in the days before hurricane, Walmart now regularly stocks its shelves with boxes upon boxes of strawberry Pop-Tarts. I thought that was interesting. But the one kind of thing that I took out of it was on Facebook, we show our cultivated selves, not our true selves. And that's what I think is kind of like the premise. And I've always kind of felt that way, so that's why I like to kind of see it, obviously get validation, personal validation, that people...
Thanks, friends.
that people lie a lot, so to my face, and I'm not a really good liar, so that's why I just kind of think it's interesting. The other thing that I thought was interesting is we talked is about doppelgangers, right? And like, what is your doppelganger? And like, it was more from a sports perspective, and it actually talked about David Ortiz, I think is what it was, which is great because I just spent many years in Boston. So I thought that was really, really interesting because there was that whole, I remember that whole debate about whether or not Ortiz should retire or not or keep him around. But what they ended up doing is finding his doppelganger and realized that he should stay on longer. So I thought that was really interesting along that. We need to find your doppelganger though, Thomas.
Yeah, I want to find my doppelganger. I thought it was cool how, if you think about from an Amazon perspective, like I would love to know who they think my doppelganger is and like what other products. Like I'm one for, like I want data used to provide me better services. Like how much time do I spend searching for things? But then if you take it to the healthcare side, which is I think where we ultimately go. So I'm really into not so much following health and fitness as much as I read about it and I do it. So I'm very interested in it. And I think for me to find a doppelganger, because I mean, even if you talk about medicine, but even diet, like what does my doppelganger who, is very similar to me? Like what are those things that this person has done that it is experiment? Like, hey, maybe it's all carbs. I doubt it, right? It's probably not pizza and donuts to, give them the athletic ability that they want. But yeah, I mean donuts, right? But I'm just saying, like, what are the keys? Like, if you can find your doppelganger for that, just from a health and fitness level, to be like, hey, like, because there's all these things and they've tried. Like, if you go on Pinterest and you look, like the three body types. Well, there's more than just 3 body types. Like, what is my doppelganger? Like, what is my ultimate potential, look like? And what's the path? Well, the only way to do that, I think, is with a doppelganger, right? Like, that's kind of where you get into that design, DNA specific medicine. But you can do the same thing with doppelgangers and not have to really go through some of the DNA, some of the other things. We just that's what we should do. We should create a company and a website where we will pair up doppelgangers. Yeah. We'll find doppelgangers across the planet.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No, that wouldn't work.
I don't know where we get the data, especially with GDPR. Well, yeah, if you want to do it and you will you want to volunteer your own information, then that's fine. But and sign your life away. Yeah, don't get me started on that. I just came back from the doctors and they were like, "Hey, we have this service where we could take your genetic code and see whether or not you're prone to like cancers or diseases and stuff like that." And I don't know. I'm torn between that. I don't know if I want to know. I don't know. I'm already like stressing about it. I don't even want to think about it. But the interesting thing.
We'll hold on to the data just in case you become a serial killer and we can run it up.
Right, exactly. Right. And they'll find it through my brother or my sister or whatever. So that's interesting. That you think that I would be that person. But also, I thought it was great though about how they were talking about how like Netflix and how we don't tend to use our queue anymore, that we always go by the recommendations. And I thought that was interesting. I was like, when I do go to Netflix, I do go the queue, but I don't spend a whole lot of time on Netflix. But I could see how that's definitely the case, that you get lost because there's so many recommendations on the bottom that you're kind of drawn to those kind of things, right? Which is the whole doppelganger concept of if we have the same watching habits and I like the show, and you like the show, and it's all that what we do for recommendation anyway. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. No, I mean, think about it coming out of Amazon. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like the idea too. I think this book is the one that mentioned it, where the waiting. So like you wait more recently what you've watched on Netflix or what you purchased on Amazon versus what you purchased 6 months ago or a year ago. So you think about the time value of data, right? So like it doesn't matter that 2 years ago I watched an awesome documentary on Netflix.
Yeah.
It matters, but it doesn't matter as much as what I watched last month, right?
Oh, interesting.
Because the time value of that, hey, there's more importance on what you're interested in now versus 6 months ago. It was great that you watched, some CrossFit.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah,
but maybe you're not into CrossFit anymore.
Right. Of course you are. Right, but yeah, that's a great point. It's definitely that makes sense, especially all the videos that we've been talking about, like with the fasting and the, trying to, be a vegetarian, things like that. I think that's interesting. That's a good point.
That is not
over here. This one is.
This one is. Just be clear.
Yeah,
Don't the audience confusing us. We are not doppelgangers.
No, we're not. That's for sure.
So, would you recommend the book?
I mean, I would, right? But I like the way that it was written. I thought that it was really easy to, I read it in a couple of days. I also thought it was interesting.
What was your recommendation?
Well, yeah, that's fair. And yes, that's true. I also like the part where they talked about the images and the images and the phrasing for Barack Obama's campaigns.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting. I always pick the ones that were not popular ones, which is typical of me. But I thought that was really, I don't know. I thought that was kind of interesting. And I love that. Like, I love, useless facts, right? Like, I highlighted one that one fewer star in Yelp will make a restaurant's reviews drop 5 to 9%. Like, that's interesting.
Man, that's good messaging, too. When you think about people always want to know the impacts.
Yeah.
Of what they're doing. So
yeah, so I definitely would recommend it. I thought it was easy. I always joke it. My mother could understand it, and I think which is nice.
Does she watch our YouTube channel?
No, she does not. No, because I have not helped her. I have not set her up to that and subscribed. I haven't done any of that. I don't want to. Thank you. Maybe I'll show her. She's gonna be here this weekend, so I'll see what she thinks. But yeah, I liked it. That was good. And you, what did you think?
If you're in big data, I think you should read it. If you're outside of big data, I don't really recommend it. And I just don't. I don't think. We've talked about this a couple times. Like, out of all big data books, I think you should. Probably I'm going to consume a lot of them. So anything around data and analytics, I'm going to consume. But I wouldn't say that it's in the top 10 for data book.
Okay.
Big data books. So I mean, I would recommend it if somebody asked me, but I do think that there are other books that are higher in the stack. So, and then outside of it, I don't think people really care that much outside of our community.
Yeah,
so that's just my opinion.
That's kind of a valid point. Yeah, I definitely think if you're interested or you think that you want to know more about it, or you're kind of interested of how data can lead you to certain conclusions, right? Again,
or wrong ones.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was gonna say. You stated that many times that it's not always what everyone kind of agrees with, and everyone can disprove anything. But I still think it's interesting, and I think it's worth having the discussion. If anything, I think I like books that make me think afterwards and want to continue to have a discussion, right? So our next book, are you ready for me to show it?
Yeah, let's show it.
Algorithms to Live By. I wonder whether or not,
because I'm almost done.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm literally on chapter 1. This isn't going well.
Last time we talked, you're on chapter 1.
What was that?
Nothing. Said last time we talked, you were on chapter 1.
I know. Still. I haven't. I'm working on it.
You got this weekend.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm sure my mom will appreciate me sitting around and reading it. But I hope that it's a book that will make me think and that will help me make decisions about understand stuff, right? Because another book that I'm reading, right, is In Defense and Food. We talked about that. Okay, is this going to get my brain going? Is going to get me thinking and questioning stuff? And that's what I like. I like stuff that makes me think about things differently, and that's why I like the Everybody Lies books. It's wow, that's kind of interesting. I never would have thought that.
All right, so we can't have all the fun. We're not the only ones that read it. We have two of our companions that are in South America. So let's flip it over to Cory and Brett, and let's see what they thought about the books, and what they're doing.
Hey, what's going on, Erin, Thomas? At the Plaza de San Martin. It's a beautiful night, and I'm here to talk a little bit about this great book that we read, Everyone Lies. So let's get into it. So generally, I thought it was a good book. I thought that a lot of the stories that he told and he used to reinforce his theory were very controversial, very leaning in certain directions. But overall, I thought it was an interesting premise, and he did use a variety of data and stories from a lot of different areas to back it up. So it was good. So by far, my favorite story from this book was the doppelganger method for the Boston Red Sox. And not to go too deep into this, but the doppelganger method takes data from a certain person or from a certain idea, and it plots all the different points, and then it actually finds a similar person that represents or closely represents that data. So the Red Sox did this back when they were determining whether or not David Ortiz should be let go in his early 30s. Luckily, they used the data properly. They kept him for another 5 years, and they won 2 more titles. So really cool story. But what I actually took away from this book more than anything else was the foundation, and one of the biggest challenges with data science work is you still need to collect the data. It needs to be the right data, and then you have to cleanse the data. That is still going to be a commonality across all the different use cases out there. So that was my biggest takeaway. So depending on what you want to use this book for or what you're looking for, I would recommend it. If you're looking for a fun read that gives some really interesting stories about how data analytics is driving certain areas of the world and society, I highly recommend it. If you're looking for a book that's going to give you or develop your skill sets in data analytics more, I don't recommend it. Yeah, I like the book. I am a storyteller. I am a data-driven person. I liked a lot of the stories. Again, it got very deep into a lot of controversial areas, but overall, I liked the book. So yes, our next book, Algorithms to Live By. I think this book, going back to developing a skill set or enhancing a skill set, is going to be more in that area, that realm. Machine learning, data science, they're driven by algorithms. So learning more about the engines of data science is exciting. So check it out. I can't wait to tell you more about that book as well. Hey guys, so it was a fun book. Thank you so much for everything. Really enjoyed it. Make sure you check us out as we review the next book. See ya, Banks. See ya, Thomas.
Hey everybody, this is Cory Minton from the Big Data Beard team, and I am in beautiful Buenos Aires at the Plaza de San Martin, and we're here to talk about the book Everybody Lies. You know, I generally liked the premise of the book. I think the fact that we're more honest in our responses to internet searches than we are with surveys, I think is a pretty interesting truth to uncover, and I think the implications of that truth actually maybe give me a little bit of pause to think about how much power we're really putting in the hands of search engine providers, companies like Alphabet, and how they might use that data for artificial intelligence purposes. You know, actually, I do like Brett's doppelganger story. I thought that was a pretty interesting idea for data scientists to take away. You know, but I think the bigger premise that I took away was just this general idea that the more impersonal the ways that we request information from people, then the more likely they are to be honest, which that's not really probably all that surprising. But it made me think about actually my own personal life. You know, we Southerners, when we send out invitations to parties, you know, we have a general rule of thumb that when we ask somebody to RSVP, we don't actually plan that all of those folks are going to come to said party. And it's not because our friends are dirty liars or anything like that they intentionally lied. It's just that we kind of gave them and set them up to maybe commit to something or to give a response they knew we wanted rather than the one that was based in true, honest opinion. You know, I don't know if I would say that I'd strongly recommend this book to the data science community because I don't feel like it really uncovered anything just dramatic other than that macro principle that, you know, the deluge of search engine data and the way that humans are interacting with the internet, I think does represent a rich data source that organizations that learn how to take advantage of it are going to have incredible competitive advantage. But I think, as Brett said, I don't think that, you know, as a practitioner that really I learned anything skill-wise that made me say, man, like this thing is just awesome. You know, I like the book okay. I felt like as I said, I respect the data science and the practitioner and what he's done to collect this data and to come up with his assertions. But I felt like that the overtone of a lot of really strong political leaning made me question the validity of maybe some of the data, because it felt like there was a lot of bias built into some of the responses and some of the stories. I am really excited about the Algorithms to Live By book because I think computer science it's an incredible topic. It's been around for many years, and I think figuring out how we apply the things we've learned in computer science over these many years, I'm excited to find out if I can apply them and make my life better and my life simpler. Be sure to tune in to our YouTube channel and follow us at bigdatabeard.com, and make sure you check out the podcast. Pew pew!
All right. Well, I hope you liked our segment about the Big Data Beards review of Everybody Lies. If you want more information or want to know what we think about our next one, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. It's really essential. It's very, very important.
It's right down here.
Yeah, it's so easy.
Subscribe.
Just click the button. It's okay. Don't worry. Everything's gonna be okay, even though everybody lies. So yeah, subscribe to the channel, because then hopefully you could see our lovely faces a couple more times. So take care. Thanks everyone for watching our video.